Some years are just dates on a calendar. They come and go. But every once in a while, a year comes along that acts like a fault line, a moment where the ground literally shifts beneath our feet. And for music, 2004 was one of those years. It wasn't just another trip around the sun, it was a total cultural reset. And honestly, we're still feeling the aftershocks today.
So let's get right into it. What did this huge year actually sound like? If you could bottle up the vibe of 2004, what would you even hear?
Well, it sounded a lot like this. It was the sound of a revolution happening in the clubs, taking over the radio, and pouring out of every single car window. It was the sound of the entire pop music map being redrawn in real time.
And if you need proof, just look at this number. In 2004, 100%, not 90, 100% of the songs that hit number one on the Billboard Hot 100 were by Black artists. I mean, that's not a trend. That is a total and complete conquest of the charts.
And that right there brings us to our first big idea. In 2004, R&B and hip-hop didn't just climb to the top of the pop charts, they became the pop charts. They completely rewrote the rules for what a mainstream hit was supposed to sound like.
And this whole takeover, it was really a tale of two kings. On one side, you had Usher, the undisputed ruler of the club. His album Confessions was just this massive, slick, commercial machine. And then, on the other side, you had this new challenger from Chicago, Kanye West, who just crashed the party and completely flipped the script on what a rapper could be.
So Usher's absolute dominance, it was powered by this brand new sound called Crunkin' B. You had producer Lil Jon, right? And he takes this raw, super high-energy synth sound from Atlanta crunk music and smashes it together with Usher's silky smooth R&B voice. The result? Yeah, a song that just sat at number one for 12 weeks. This formula was so powerful that Lil Jon did it again with Sierra on Goodies, and guess what? That went to number one too.
Okay, so while Crunkin' B is blowing up the clubs, Kanye West is over here pioneering something totally different. He basically invents chipmunk soul. He'd dig up these old soul records, speed them up so the vocals got all high-pitched, and then build these incredible beats around them. It brought this totally new warmth and vulnerability to hip-hop, making space for songs like Jesus Walks to talk about faith and society, stuff you just did not hear on pop radio back then.
All right, let's switch gears for a second, because in a completely different corner of the music world, while urban music was consolidating all its power, rock was doing the exact opposite. It was breaking apart, splintering into all these different camps, each one reacting to the anxieties of the time. A nation at war, a culture that felt like it was in total flux. With that whole aggressive nu metal scene kind of fading out, it was like rock launched a three-front war for its own soul. You had the really direct political protest music, you had this raw emotional catharsis, and then you had this new wave of stylish indie cool.
Leading that political charge, big time, was Green Day. Their album American Idiot dropped right before the 2004 presidential election, and it was a full-on punk rock opera. It was this loud, angry response to the Bush administration and the Iraq War, and it gave a voice to a whole generation of kids who felt totally disillusioned.
At the same time, on the emotional front, sadness basically became a lifestyle. This was the year that emo just exploded into the mainstream, led by bands like My Chemical Romance. Their song, I'm Not Okay, I Promise, turned all that teenage angst into a full-blown aesthetic. You know, the dyed black hair, the tight jeans, the eyeliner, it was a whole vibe. And then, finally, there was the cool front. This is when indie rock came storming out of the garage and straight onto the dance floor. You had bands like The Killers with Mr. Brightside and Franz Ferdinand with Take Me Out, bringing these sharp, angular guitars and beats you could actually dance to onto the radio. They proved that rock could be smart and stylish. But look, the actual music, that was only half the story of 2004. Because this was also the year that a simple piece of technology, the Apple iPod and its now iconic white earbuds, completely rewired the way we all listen to music forever. Yeah, this new technology marked the beginning of the end for the album as we knew it. And the weapon that really did the damage was the 99-cent single. It was the perfect format for those huge, catchy hooks that were dominating pop music, and it completely de-emphasized listening to a full record. And the numbers, they really tell the whole story here. CD sales were dropping, and yeah, piracy was still a huge problem, but legal digital downloads, they were absolutely exploding. In July of 2004, the iTunes Store sold its 100 millionth song. The move from physical CDs to digital,
wasn't coming anymore. It was here. And think about it. The iPod made music this super private, personal soundtrack for your life. The shuffle button just blew up the whole idea of an album's track list, and the playlists became the new mixtape. Listening went from something you did with your friends around a stereo to something you did all by yourself, isolated by those little white earbuds.
So, with this new digital, always-on world, the rules of being famous started to change too. In 2004, a few major cultural flashpoints on live TV completely redefined the relationship between artists, their work, and the public.
There were really three huge moments on TV that year that kind of defined this new era of public scrutiny. It all kicked off with the Super Bowl halftime show and the infamous wardrobe malfunction. Then you had the American Idol finale, which proved that reality TV could create legitimate superstars. And finally, Ashley Simpson's disastrous performance on Saturday Night Live showed everyone just how risky the performance of authenticity had become.
And the fallout from that Super Bowl moment, it was fast and it was completely lopsided. Justin Timberlake basically walked away without a scratch. His career just kept climbing. But Janet Jackson, she was effectively blacklisted by major media companies. Her music was pulled from radio and TV, totally derailing her career momentum. It was a really stark look at the double standards that were at play. All of this started to raise a new question for everyone watching. Was the music about the art anymore, or was it all about the drama? You look at Britney Spears, the public fascination with her 55-hour marriage in Vegas, her whole life playing out in the tabloids. It started to completely overshadow her actual music. This was really the beginning of that whole celeb reality era, where the story about the artist became way more important than the song. Okay, so let's tie all these threads together. What does it all mean? 2004 was the year that urban music became the undisputed sound of pop. It was the year rock music fractured and found new ways to rebel. It was the year the iPod changed how we all listen to music for good. And it was the moment that an artist's personal story became just as important, if not more important, than their songs. When you look back, there's just no doubt about it. 2004 laid the groundwork for the streaming-dominated, genre-blending, personality-driven music world we're all living in right now. Every playlist you make, every viral TikTok sound, it all owes a little something to this one watershed year. But that leaves us with one last question to think about. As we moved from the CD to the playlist, from the album to the single, and from the artist to the celebrity, what, if anything, did we lose along the way?